Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is Emerald Tablets Revealed. I'm taking a bit of a hiatus from that because, well, two things. April, I'm extremely busy, so I don't have too much time to delve as much as I would like to now that we finished up just reading the words on the page. My goodness, my cards are... sorry. Let's just take that one. Wow, the cards were flying. Probably because of the topic we're doing today. I apologize for that. I can already feel my my energy get my fire starting to boil, I guess you could say, with the topic we're discussing today. So what I was saying is that back when I first started this channel, I asked a bunch of people, some of my friends and followers on, good morning, Ann, good to see you. My friends and followers on Instagram, they were really the support that said, yeah, start a YouTube channel, it'd be great. And I said, okay, what do I start with? And they said Hermetics. So I started that when I first did this channel. I started there, but I never finished it all up. And it is I'm still trying to title things the same. It was like lesson 1, all is mind, and then going through the Hermetic principles. And I had started from the last principle, working our way up, because I always found it interesting that the first principle is all is mind, and it's the biggest. Every principle underneath that is there to support understanding all is mind. So I kind of started going from, the end of the principles to the beginning. So we actually today, as I'm going to use April to finish that up, because I don't like unfinished stuff out there. I really don't. I'm not into not finishing what I started, right? We're doing polarity. And hello, good morning, Miss Lori. I see you in the chat. And some people, this there might be a lot that comes out of my mouth right now about polarity that, yeah, I already feel my fire getting started, right? Because I'm not against Hermetics. I want to make that very, very clear. But I have said a million times on this channel that I think it keeps people in a box. And so we're going to get to that box of polarity today, and we're going to break on out of it. So there's going to be a lot that is said, and just stick with me. There's going to be a lot that is said. I have decided, when I went through that losing my voice in February aspect, in that also encompassed, the whole, how do I help people the most? Like, do I become more gentle? As I always use the metaphor that I would back when, because I've changed it now, thank goodness. I used to say I would get in that ditch with you and then get us both out. Like, I'm always finding people in ditches and being like, you can do it, let's get out of this. But the problem is if I put myself in that ditch with you, most people want to tell me why they're in the ditch in the first place, and then the more time we hang out in that ditch becomes comfortable, and then we're both in that ditch. So I'm not doing that. I use that as a metaphor here to say, with kind of the new branding of Stars of the Morning Light in a way, I'm no longer going to lower myself to try to meet people where they're at. We don't have time for that. So, hence getting in the ditch with others. I'll put my hand down there. Maybe I'll get on my belly. Most likely not. I'll probably just stand there and be like, well, you can get yourself out of that ditch. It's a choice. I can't afford it anymore. So, do I also understand that a lot of people are not there yet, right? Are just not there in many ways. I do understand that, but it is the time that, well, start moving towards that. And the problem is with polarity, man, Polarity is used to justify a whole lot of stuff when people don't really grasp the bigger concept. So today it's going to be a very big concept, and it's a little bit rough on me that some people that I know out there, actually a lot of people I know out there, who say they follow Hermetics, I don't think fully get it. I'm going to be honest. I don't think fully actually grasps what it is, especially when you read the Corpus Hermetica. So I will be... my fire might get a little bit... my fire might come with it. Usually if I have episodes like that and my husband gets home in the evening, I say, oh, Brad, the stuff that came out of my mouth today. And he'll be like, did you come in hot, Courtney? Oh, it might be I come in hot today, folks. So, good to see you, Lucky. I see you in the chat. Lucky would get a lot of this. Lucky he's a great being. So, the card that jumped out, because there was a whole lot of cards jumping out. They're probably feeling my energy. They're like, whoa, this woman's on fire. Number 16, conception. The frequency of conception invites us to bring our consciousness to our origin, the place where everything in creation begins. It helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of this space that we can manifest through our own focused awareness and intention. Yeah, I know why this card came up. Let me hold it up for you guys. Conception. That is the sacred geometry. I don't know if you guys can see. Inside that is like the y-axis and the x-axis. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm going to read that again. I'll probably hold it up towards the end as well. I don't know if you guys can see that too. Right in here, so we're kind of where the y-axis and the x-axis might meet. There's these little lights right here, but there's actually strings looking like they're coming off of it from this one. You might not be able to see it in the camera here. Maybe if I get... See? So, yeah, today's gonna be fun. Let's get it. Let's do it. The frequency of conception invites us to bring our consciousness into our origin, the place where everything in creation begins. It helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of this space and what we can manifest through our own focused awareness and intention. Yeah, man, let's get it. So, before I truly begin, I'm going to hold my sign up for anybody that's local. New Earth Energy Market Holistic Festival, April 29th in Ringgold, Georgia. Yes, we're doing another one here at Stars of the Morning Light. I've been recording with a bunch of people. Another one will be on this Saturday. I appreciate you all watching and listening and paying attention to all that Stars of the Morning Light does. If you're local, you know, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, because we're all just a couple of hours away from each other, come on through. It'll be a really good time. All right. Polarity. Polarity. So, from the Kabbalion, I'm just going to read a little bit from here, okay? And then we're going to get more into the Corpus Hermetica. And most generally, people understand this. This was also covered a bit in when I did, you know, over a year ago, the one of gender, you know, the feminine and masculine energies, right? The opposites, you know. So, but people love, people seem to love polarity, to be an argument or to be, you know, just used in the 3D world. Hence 3D. I'm going to be bringing up 3D a lot. That's why I say we're going to break out of this box. We're going to break on out. Polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. So I've been saying that a lot, because lately the search for truth seems to be paramount for people right now. I don't know where these truths are that they think they're going to find. It literally just said, in all truth, there's only half-truths. Like, I don't know where all these truths are, but that's fine. I'm going to jump around this a little bit. So, basically, polarity in 3D. Polarity, and it's also in other conscious levels as well, but how you see it and how you work with it and what you do is vastly different than the 3D experience of polarity, right? Big theme for today. So they're about to start going into the different extremes. That there's two poles, good, evil, love, hate, and whatever kind of falls in between them, right, is where we generally are. They also are going to speak about something in this book that I'll talk about it because I've said it before on other programs here that, you know, I don't care so much for people using the word transmutation when it comes to thought stuff. There's reasons why, and you'll if you track with me, you'll understand. So I'm going to move a little bit around in this one, okay? So, the teachers claim that illustrations of the principle may be had on every hand, and from the examination into the real nature of anything. They begin by showing that spirit and matter are but the two poles of the same thing. The intermediate planes, so all of that in between the two poles, spirit and matter, being merely degrees of vibration. Cool, we can all understand that. They show the all and the many are the same. The difference being merely the matter of degree of mental manifestation. Please remember that. I'm going to read that again. So when they say they're talking about, you know, the Hermetic Masters, those who really study this stuff. They show that the all capital letters there, the all and the many are the same. The difference being merely a matter of degree of mental manifestation. Thus, the law and the laws are the two opposite poles of one thing. Thus, the law, capital letters, singular, and the laws, plural, are the two opposite poles of one thing. Likewise, principle, all capital letters, singular, and principles, infinite mind and finite minds. And as we spoke about rhythm last week, right, we talked about the two poles and how rhythm kind of swings back and forth. Swingy, swingy, teeter-tottering, swingy, swingy. But as you gain higher consciousness, you can hang out at one of them poles, more so, and keep experiencing just one side. So, I pose the question to you. If this be the case, they show that the all is a pole, right? And the many, right? Over here, same thing, different degrees, because that's what the real story is here, different degrees. The all, and then the many, different degrees, are the same. The difference being merely the matter of degree of mental manifestation. So if you are high frequency consciousness and you want to hang out here with the all, it is merely a matter of degree of mental manifestation. Same as over here you got the law. Singular, law, the all, law, right? And then over here you have the laws, plural. All that stuff that people want to refer to as like universal laws are the two opposite poles of one thing, right? Likewise, principle and principles. Infinite mind, infinite mind, or finite minds. Wow. And all of this is merely a matter of degree of mental manifestation. So ding ding folks, how I can say I don't live in 3D. Ding ding, ding ding. How, yeah, do I see how everybody else does? Do I see it? Kind of. I mean, I got some rose-colored glasses, I'll tell you that, because everything kind of looks very distant to me, and everything kind of has a different haze a bit to it, because I don't really see it anymore, because it is a degree of, it's a matter of degree of mental manifestation. Choice. Okay, so then passing on to the physical plane, they illustrate the principle by showing that heat and cold are identical in nature, the difference being merely the matter of degrees, hot and cold. And I will tell you again, this goes into Norse mythology where they start with fire and ice. The thermometer shows many degrees of temperature, the lowest pole being called cold and the highest heat. Between these two poles are many degrees of heat or cold. Call them either, and you are equally correct. The higher of the 2 degrees is always warmer, while the lower is always colder. There is no absolute standard. All is a matter of degree. All is a matter of degree. So the same as if you have heat and you have cold. Both are the same. They're both the same. Same as the all and the many. Both are the same. It's to the degree of mental manifestation. So are you hanging out with the many? Are you wanting and desiring and fixing to walk into the all? Different degrees of mental manifestation. Same thing though. The many operates just as the same as the all does. Yep. It's very fascinating. Then they give, hot and cold, light and dark, love and hate. They give a bunch of different examples, right? Actually, let's start with the love and hate because it kind of goes into something that, So they give the whole love and hate thing. And you know the saying is there's a thin line between love and hate. This is why. Okay? I'm jumping to this now. And I hope you're all kind of hanging out with me and following why I get a little heated with this. I go to the hot pole. I go to the hot pole. I'm not lukewarm in regards to polarity. I'm not lukewarm at all. Oh, you gotta have fun, remember? You gotta have fun. So they were just coming out of the love-hate thing. You know, less love, more hate, da da da, right? This is where it gets a little tricky for me personally because, well, I'll just read. And it is this fact that enables the Hermetics to transmute one mental state into another along the lines of polarization. Things belonging to different classes cannot be transmuted into each other, but things of the same class may be changed. That is, may have their polarity change. Thus, love never becomes east or west, or red or violet, but it may and often does turn into hate. Likewise, hate may be transformed into love by changing its polarity. Courage may be transmuted into fear, and reverse. Hard things may be rendered soft, dull things become sharp, hot things become cold, and so on. The transmutation always being between things of the same kind of different degrees. Take the case of the fearful man. By rising his mental vibrations along the line of fear-courage, he can be filled with the highest degree of courage and fearlessness. And likewise, the slothful man may change himself into an active, energetic individual simply by polarizing along the lines of desired quality. So, before I go any further, and I might just move right into I'll read this and then I'm gonna move into the other stuff. Yeah, there's reasons. So many times here I have said I don't like people using the word transmutation when they're talking about their mental. Because transmutation to me should still stay in the category of alchemy when you get into high levels of alchemy. But I understand why they say this. I pose, because the world is not there yet to really understand that transmutation also, that term, in a lot of ways represents permanency. And so it gets very flighty out there, these terms being used. Because transmutation would really literally mean from one pole to the other, more permanency to it. Right? The fearful man moves over to courage and is no longer fearless, or is now fearless. That is the very black and white nature of transmutation, because it's linked to alchemy. That's why I don't like people using it. When I also know that the human free will is what really should be said here. It's choice. Because oftentimes, let's say, take the fearful man. Man might be human, right? Someone might be very fearful in one particular category, and they, in their mental choice, their free will, and there's also other reasons, keep tracking with me because it's going to come at the end and it's going to blow your mind. with their choice, could go from very fearful and move over to courage, right? And they're no longer like that. Might be transmutation, might be just choice in that particular area. Now, us all being human, we also know that when presented with something, oh, we can quickly move right back over to fearful. Quickly just move right back over. Whoa, that's new. We can do that. And then we have to make another choice. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I liked not being fearful of this. How do I go back to courage? It is that ever rhythm back and forth when transmutation is more of a permanent state of transforming something. Now, can that happen? Yes. Trust me, I do know it can happen. It takes a lot of effort though. And it takes many times of experiencing that swing of rhythm back and forth to then stay at one pole of it and truly never leave it. To remain fearless, right, in courage and higher levels of consciousness, to move beyond that, it takes a lot of effort. And so, generally speaking, I try to stay away from that word and use the word choice, human free will, because transmutation is more of a permanent state, meaning you've already done that swing a million times and you no longer are fearful. That's very uncommon. Now, can it happen in certain areas of people's lives? Yes. Yes, I definitely believe in that. Can it ultimately happen? Yes. And that's where we're going to go at the end of this. And that's why there's also reasons why I'm saying I'd rather people, instead of using the term transmutation of the mental, move it into choice and human free will. Because the human free will overrides everything. It is so... It is that aspect that is in the all that the many use and demonstrate and manifest with all the time. But when it is the ultimate, it's a whole different story. So it's tricky for me to be like, hey, transmute all that stuff, because I know that's not I know that's not what really they're doing out there. Just choose. And there's going to be a reason towards the end why I'm really going to drive that point home. I'm going to read the end little bit of this. A knowledge of existence of this great hermetic principle will enable the student to better understand his own mental states and those of other people. He will see that these states are all matters of degrees, and seeing thus, he will be able to rise or lower the vibration at will. I just said, your will. To change his mental poles and thus be master of his mental states, instead of being their servant or slave. And by his knowledge, he will be able to aid his fellows intellectually, and by the approach methods change the polarity when the same is desirable. We advise all students to familiarize themselves with the principle of polarity, for a correct understanding of the same will throw light on many different subjects. So this is where we get sayings like one and the same, it is and it isn't, which I use that all the time because it is and it isn't. This is the two poles, and everything is degrees in between. And even like I said in the last one with rhythm, let's say you are deciding I'm going to hang out with the all more. All is nice, right? The all, the law, opposed to the many, opposed to the many in 3D. I'm going to hang out with the all. Even within that, as your rhythm, right? Even within that, there is when you get into higher consciousnesses. I wanted to show people, because they said it a lot there, about vibration, frequency. Consciousness is frequency, right? And they were talking about fear and then into courage. And if none of you have ever looked at the levels of consciousness chart, I would. You can Google it, print it out, spend time with it. It's really good. But I'm going to hold it up here for a moment because my camera can show you. Fear is down here, okay? These numbers next to it are the frequency, vibration you give out when you are in fear. That's only at 100. That's a very, very low vibe. And so frequency is conscious level, vibration is what you have within that also is released out. Okay? So when you're in fear and you're in that low vibe, you feel the low vibe, you experience the low vibe, because consciously, mentally, you're at the frequency of fear, very low. Everybody around feels that too, right? So this is where the many opposed to the all, different degrees, right? So then if we go from fear at 100 and up to like courage, well, courage is at 200. To me, it's still low, but that's fine. Courage is at least you're moving, you're on up, right? Courage is at 200. So at least you're rising it enough to move to that opposite side of the poles, the opposite side, right? You've moved it up enough. I want to point out, though, there is a whole lot in between. And see, this is still 3D, folks. This is still 3D thinking. And pride is right before courage. Pride is where the conversations of polarity usually hang out. They do. Clearly, polarity is used many times in the 3D world to argue us versus them. We're right, they're wrong. Of course, there's all sorts of different poles, and man, them poles like to take that pride and be like, ooh, we're right, you're wrong, our side's better, your side. Building all sorts of walls with them degrees in between, right? I just wanted to point that out, that pride, so fear's down here. Oh my goodness, you're moving up. Anger. Isn't it interesting that anger and pride are right next to each other? Because so much of pride is ego saying I'm right and you're wrong. Pride. Maybe courage to think differently. Maybe courage to say, I don't want to be in 3D anymore. How do I make this happen? Well, you want to know the how? Right into 4. Right into 4 is neutrality. We've been talking about it a lot. That is that observer mode. And then willingness. A willingness to, after you've observed long enough in neutrality, and you can see how things can be different. You've learned enough. Yeah, I don't like that. Oh, I do like that. Oh, I handled that real well. Those people, okay. And you see it in a neutral observer mode long enough, I will tell you, that can give you the willingness to move into acceptance. And acceptance, once you can hit into acceptance of all things, allowing people to be who they are, acceptance of all of yourself, acceptance of all that is, there's your gate, folks. And I will say acceptance also leads into forgiveness. There's your gate. And that's your gate to hang out with the all. It truly is. But man, I'm about to go into hermetics like no other to bring this point home of the fact that polarity is so much represented in 3D. Very black and white. Very this and that. The degrees in between the poles. Like I just said, people just love building walls within that. That's what 3D does. That is what 3D does. 3D uses polarity big time. It loves using it for its grand purpose of control. You can break out of that box. Now the thing is there still opposites, duality, opposites in higher consciousness? Yes, but it's not seem the same. It is not seen the same. And this is when, now that's what I'm going to go into. Same as I would rather people stop saying transmutation and just start saying human free will choice. Because the choices that have to be made is over and over and over again, when transmutation is a more permanent state. And I know very little of those out there that have done that. More are coming though. And the more you make those same choices over and over and over and over again. Remember, are you in love or are you in fear? Are you in love or are you in fear? The more you make the choice to go towards love, whatever it may look like for you, the more you stop, catch your thoughts, and move towards love, the more higher frequency you will inherit. You will gain. But it's a choice. Very few people are at any transmutation level. Very few. But the more choices you make towards it, and the higher your frequency becomes, the more of a permanent state of transmutation mentally does then exist. Hence, it's a matter of degree of mental manifestation. It's very difficult to see that people are really at that point, right? So I'm going to the Corpus Hermetica. I'm going to jump around a little bit. From the Mind of Hermes, page 85, then I'm going to jump to page 45, and then I'm going to jump back to 85. 45 is that God is not manifest and yet is most manifest. Oh, the duality there, huh? We'll get there. Actually, because I just am going to want to read, let's go there. So we're going to start on page 85 of the Mind of Hermes. We're going to read a few lines there. Then we're going to jump to page 45, which is out of that God is not manifest and yet is most manifest. Huh. Sounds like the duality of things, doesn't it? That God is not manifested, but yet God is all manifested. Interesting. So let's just go back to 85 for a moment. You guys are going to love this. How are you all doing this Friday? Beautiful morning, you beautiful stars. Keep on shining. You guys are glorious and wonderful. All of you are, you blessed beings of love and light. Man, move on up. You are doing so good. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So page 85. Behold, how great power, how great swiftness you have. Can you do all things, and God cannot? After this manner, therefore, contemplate God to have all the whole world to himself, as it were, all thoughts or intellects. If therefore you do not equal yourself to God, you cannot understand God. I'm going to read that one more time. This is why I do not say use the word transmutation. Use your human free will. Until you get to this, folks, because this is the ultimate goal here. This is how Courtney can hang out in the all way more than the many. I just view the many from the all and go, whoa, okay, many. Even though I know it's one and the same. I'm going to read that again, and then we're going to jump to another page. If, therefore, you do not equal yourself to God, you cannot understand God. This is how I probably do blasphemy, I just blast it. The word, you guys know what I was trying to say. Especially going into Easter weekend, shit, I tend to, yeah, man, I'd be burned at the stake now, wouldn't I? Because I equal myself to God. Because it just told me to. It just told me to. If you do not equal yourself to God, you will not understand God. It just told me to. And hence, my issues with a whole lot of people that say they follow Hermetics, they do not get this part. And if you don't get this part, you don't understand any of it. So let's go to 45. Yeah, I'm bold. I am bold. And this is, that God is not manifested yet is most manifested. And we're jumping to page 45. But if that which is in you, but not known or apparent unto you, how shall he in you be seen, and appear to you by the eyes? I'm going to read that again. But if that which is in you be not known or apparent unto you, how shall he in you be seen, and appear to you by the eyes? But if you see him, consider and understand the sun, S-U-N. Consider the course of the moon. Consider the order of the stars. Oh, this is why this channel is actually much deeper than people are aware of. Take what I say and roll with how deep and how far and how high you want to go. Who is he that keeps order? For all order is circumscribed and terminated in number and place. The sun is the greatest of the gods in heaven, to whom all the heavenly gods give place, as to a king and ponent. And yet he being such a one, greater than the earth or the sea, is content to suffer lesser stars to walk and move about himself. Whom does he fear who does he fear the while, O sun? So that sun was, he's talking to Hermes. When they say in this too, when it says S-U-N, the God there that they're saying, the highest God of all the gods in the heavens is a lowercase g. So gods, or God, lowercase G-O-D. But he's saying the sun is the highest of all of them. The sun is the greatest of all of them, right? The lowercase G-O-Ds. Greater than the earth or the sea. is content to suffer infinite lesser stars to walk and move about himself. So that sun is connected to all these other stars. All these other stars that are lesser than the sun, yes, but they walk about him. They are connected to him. I just want to throw that out there, folks. That is in the Corpus Hermetica. I'm not lying about this stuff. Every one of these stars that are in heaven do not make the like or an equal course. Who is it that has prescribed to every one the manner and the greatness of their course? So every star in the heaven are not alike. Okay, groovy. Or have an equal course. Okay, we get it. But someone has prescribed and given them the manner of their course. Okay, every star. You beautiful stars. This bear that turns around about its own self and carries around the whole world with her, who possesses and made such an instrument, who has set the bounds of the sea, who has established the earth. For there is somebody, O Tate, that's the son that Hermes is talking to, or a protege. That is the maker and the Lord of these things. So they're just saying there's a maker to the bounds of the sea, boundaries of the sea, that established the earth, that, right? And I'm not gonna go fully into that. I'm gonna stop reading at some point because we all understand that. For it is impossible, O son, that either place or number or measure should be observed without a maker. For no order can be made by disorder or disproportion. That truly, right there, is polarity. That's the definition. That's the definition. For no order can be made by disorder or disproportion. So when you have two poles of the exact same thing, just different degrees, that is the proportion of life. We have it within. The earth has the north and south hemispheres. We have the duality of masculine and feminine energy within. We have all the different poles of the same stuff in various, different flowers, different nature. It's all the same. For no order, because creation is order. For no order can be made by disorder or disproportion. This is why I say all the time, to the amount that I am capable of being at a very high frequency, I can also go to the other pole and be at a very low frequency. To the amount that I can shine like the star that I am, to the amount that I can be positive, to the amount that I can be quote unquote on the good side, is the same amount I can be on the bad, on the evil, do very bad damage there. It's the same degree, or it's the same poles. It's the exact same poles, but it's where I fall in the degrees, and where I choose, with my human free will, choose to hang out, to be at. I no longer choose to be on the opposite side of what is good for me. It's where I choose. That is creation. For no order can be made by disorder or disproportion, meaning there has to be the poles, especially of the 3D. But higher consciousness, you get to choose. I wish it were possible for you, O my son, to have wings and to fly into the air and be taken up in the mist between heaven and earth, to see the stability of the earth and the fluidity of the sea, the courses of the rivers and the vastness of the air, the sharpness and swiftness of the fire, the motion of the stars, and the speediness of the heavens by which it goes around about all these things. O son, what a happy sight it were, at one instance, to see all these, that which is immovable moved, and that which is hidden appear and be manifest. I'm going to go back to 85. Please take a moment and take it in. Going back to 85. If therefore you do not equal yourself to God, you cannot understand God. Going back to what we just said, when he said, "Oh, my son," as he's talking to the one recording it all, I wish you could travel and see the earth and see the heavens and see all the stars and see all of it. Let's keep going from 85. For the like is in... Sorry, give me a moment. I'm trying to keep my fire down because this is serious, so I want to... For the like is intellectual by the like. Increase yourself onto the immeasurable greatness. Increase, heighten, ascend. All those words mean the same thing. Increase yourself onto the immeasurable greatness. Leaping beyond everybody and transcending all time. Become eternity, and you then understand God. If you believe in yourself that nothing is impossible, but account yourself as immortal, and that you may understand all things, every act, every science, and the manner and custom of every living thing. Become higher than all height, lower than all depths. Comprehend in yourself the qualities of all creatures, of all fire, the water, the dry, the moist, the conceived likewise, that you can at once be everywhere in the sea and in the earth. That all at once you can be everywhere. Then you will at once understand yourself. not yet begotten in the womb, young, old, to be dead, the things after death, and all these together, as also times, places, deeds, qualities, quantities, or else you cannot understand God. But if you shut up your soul in the body and abuse it and say, I understand nothing, I can do nothing, I am afraid of the sea, I cannot climb to the heaven, I know not who I am, I cannot tell what I shall be. What have you to do with God? For you may understand none of those fair and good things, and still be a lover of the body and evil. Please take all this in. If you shut your soul up in the body and abuse it and tell yourself you can't, and hang out in that area of pride and fear, in the world of duality that is us versus them, I am right, you are wrong. It is black and white. That is just shutting your soul up. But yet you want to say you transmute. It's very difficult for me to accept people when they say that. For you may understand none of those fair and good things, and still be a lover of the body and evil. For it is the greatest evil not to know God, but to be able to know and to will and to hope is the straight way, the divine way, the proper to the good, and it will everywhere be with you, and everywhere be... Sorry, my phone is going off. I'm going to shut the door one moment. This is too important. I'm going to read that again, folks. I don't know if you could even hear that, but it was coming in, so I apologize for that. I leave the door open, everybody, here at Beautiful Stars of the Morning Light, so if the dog wants to move about, he may. You know, it's their job to know where their humans are. I'm going to read that again. For it is the greatest evil but to be able to know and to will, there's that word again, to know and to will, and to hope, is the straight way, the divine way, proper to the good, and it will everywhere be with you, and everywhere be seen of you, plain and easy. When you do not expect or look for it, it will meet you walking, sleeping, sailing, traveling, by night, by day, when you speak and when you are silent. For there is nothing which is not the image of God. And yet you say, God is invisible. But be advised, for who is more manifested than he? For therefore has he made all things, that you by all things may see him. This is the good of God, this is the virtue, to appear and to be seen in all things. There is nothing invisible, no, not of those things that are incomparable. The mind is seen in understanding, and God is seen in doing or making. That last line. Well, and then it says, let these things thus be manifested unto you. That last line. The mind is seen in understanding. The mind is seen in understanding, and God is seen doing or making. This is why I say choice. This is why I say human free will. Because God is seen in doing and making. Many times when people want to use terms from Hermetics, it is to just say, yeah, I healed that, or I'm working through it, or I was having a crappy day and then I flipped the script. I changed it up in my mind, which is actually human free will and choice. God is seen in doing and making. And it also just told us that if we do not equal ourselves to God, we will not understand Him. So for me personally, and guys, go as much as you can. I'm going to hold the card up one more time. The card that we pulled today, and then I'm going to bring it all together, because this is why Hermetics, like every other thought, religion, ideals, concepts, all of them, kind of get infiltrated or are misunderstood, or people are not connecting the dots. And it's hard for me. That's why I stay away from Hermetics for the most part, because I don't want to have a debate with people that don't understand that they're God. That's me. Number 16, conception. Now put this sacred geometry into all that was just said. Number 16, conception. The frequency of conception invites us to bring our consciousness to our origin. Origin, what's that for you? Is that the divine within? I would hope so. Your origin, what is that? Are you a star that walks upon the sun? I don't know. What does that mean to you, your origin? To me, I'm a part of God. As God, I'm equal. I am of the all, not the many. Which I also understand that sounds like us versus them, but I'm trying to do a teaching moment here. Because the many is also the all. It is and it is not, right? The frequency of conception invites us to bring our consciousness to our origin. The place where everything in creation begins. Light. Is it light for you? That light that penetrated through the void? And some call it thought. Therefore mind. A place where everything in creation begins. It helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of this space and what we can manifest through our own focused awareness and intention. It helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of this space, where you are, your space, and what we can manifest through our own focused awareness and intention. Once you understand you are equal to God, and once you understand that the two poles always exist, and yes, most people travel through the degrees in between the two, but it truly is a matter of mental manifestation. As it just said on this card, it helps us to remember the infinite potential and possibilities of this space. Hence why I don't live in 3D, because may I be sharing the same space? Yeah, but my mental manifestations have nothing to do with 3D. Of this space, what we can manifest through our own focused awareness and intention. Focused awareness is I know that I am of the all. The many need to kind of swingy over, because they're doing a lot. Same. The all is the collective. There's the collective at a higher frequency, and there's a collective at a lower frequency, but yet same are collective. Right? I'm going to hold this sacred geometry up. Conception. Conception for you. Are you of God? Do you equal yourself? This is a very hard message for people to take in, because I know the majority of the population has always been told to do the exact opposite. Must have been one of them other poles. The majority of the population has always been told to do the exact opposite. And that the words coming out of my mouth would be blasphemy. And that I'd be, burned at the stake for this. That's the other pole. There's a pole that is love and acceptance that you are of the Creator, that is your origin, and therefore you can mentally manifest whatever the hell you want, right? I shouldn't use that term, but whatever you want, right? And then the other opposite side of the duality world that we live in is telling you you are completely separated from God, that only certain people can read books about him, that only certain people came to be messiahs. That's the other side of the big swing. I live over here. I know I am of God. I know I'm with God. I know that I'm equal to God because I know what the all is. I have increased, ascended, gone to the heavens, seen the earth, seen how everything operates, the order of it all. And so can all of you. But we have to get from one side to the other. All done by your choice, your free will. All done by that. The mind is seen in understanding. God is seen in doing and making. Once you make that choice, you have to put it into motion. And that's the only way to get from one side to the other. You have to put it into motion. This is why I also don't truly like the concept of people saying transmutation here. Because, okay, they trick themselves, because it is so people can manipulate themselves easier than they can manipulate others. I mean, it is so easy to manipulate yourself, okay? So, many times they'll say, oh, I transmuted that. I don't feel that way anymore. I don't think that way anymore. But their doing and making that is actually God represented does not line up. That's why it is a human free will choice over and over and over, and then you do and you make and you keep going. And you find out through doing that over and over and over again, understanding, as I've said here a million times, knowledge plus experience. Your experience is the doing and the making, the God that is within that. Because you are of God. You're equal to God. Why would he make... It just doesn't make sense. Knowledge plus experience equals understanding. And the height or the depth, it does not matter really, because once you get to that and you're doing it so much, Yeah, you circle all around. And it's said to the depths of the sea, the depths of below, to the highest of the heavens, to the stars. So the more you experience and gain understanding, let's read the line one more time. The mind is seen in understanding. The mind is seen in understanding. And God is seen in doing and making. So you have to do this to, in that understanding, from knowledge plus experience equals understanding, the more you will see your mind and see how all is mental and see the degree of mental manifestation. The mind is seen in understanding. And then what you can do is once you start experiencing and doing that, having the understanding of the mind is seen there and understanding, and you keep layering it, getting to your other side of the pole, away from how you've been separated from things, over the other side, then because you understand, because it's been seen that all is mental, well, then you go out and you do and you make. And by going out and doing and you make, doing the actual action, then you do come to the full understanding, complete awareness that you are equal. This is how, as I've said a million times on this channel, I've referenced the Christ consciousness. I've referenced what he was trying to say to people. Hence, 2 fish to 5,000. 2 fish to 5,000. Many people know that parable. He kept saying, you do it. You do it. Take those fish and do it. Just do it. And nobody thought that they could because they didn't believe in themselves. I'm going to end with that line from what we read. Nobody thought they could do it. So he was like, geez, you humans, you're killing me here. Literally. Sorry. I don't mean to laugh. That was rough. I didn't mean to laugh. But I can imagine, like, geez, you guys are... So then he goes, all right, I'll show you again. Here's 2 fish. Bam. Here's 5,000. Because of mental manifestation, he knew he was the truth, the light, the way to the all, to the Father that he referenced. Meaning there was no separation. And all that he was trying to teach was that. So let's go back for just a moment. I'm going to do it one more time. Page 85. Behold, how great power, how great swiftness you have. Can you do all things, and God cannot? After this manner, therefore, contemplate God, to have all the whole world to himself, as it were, all thoughts or intellects, all thoughts or intellects, the all and also the many. If therefore you do not equal yourself to God, you cannot understand God. Increase yourself onto the immeasurable greatness, leaping beyond every body and transcending all time. Become eternity, and you then understand God. If you believe if you believe in yourself that nothing is impossible, but account yourself as immortal, and that you may understand all things, every art, every science, and the manner and custom of every living thing. To me, ladies and gentlemen, you beautiful stars, that was what the Christ consciousness was trying to say. Every time that he would say, yeah, walk on water, believe. Do you believe? He would ask him, do you believe? Do you believe? It was constantly, do you believe? Even when he was healing people, do you believe? Because in reality, he knew he wasn't the one doing it then. It was their own belief in themselves. But so many people have to have a face, have to have some kind of deity or some kind of outside of themselves to have them believe. But he said it repeatedly. He was trying to say, do you believe? Do you believe you can do this? Do you believe you can just take these 2 fish and make 5,000? And unfortunately, throughout all of the stories there, and I'm referencing this because it is, like I said, it's always the easiest for me to reference as far as stories was. Buddha's focus was a little bit different, but he did a lot of the same stuff, and he would ask the same questions. Do you believe? Meant, do you believe in yourself? Always. That's what he was asking. Every time. Do you believe in yourself? Because if you believe in yourself, it gets you closer to understanding that you are also God, that you can walk on water, that you can feed 5,000. That's what he was asking. And it is so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. This is what makes my heart hurt. That in all those stories, all those parables, and if I walked out on the street right now and asked somebody, to what degree do you believe in yourself? I think it'd be very low. And believe in themselves in this manner, in the mental manifestations. If I said, do you believe you can create 5,000 fish out of 2? Feed 5,000 out of 2 fish. Do you believe that you can walk on water? Right? If I asked that to just general people on the street, I would get some words, first of all. And also, none of them would say that we were capable of doing that. That is what pains my heart. That is truly what pains my heart. To know that the majority of all peoples walking the globe, no matter what faith, non-faith, what have you, do not know that it's the belief in yourself that has you standing high on a higher pole, that has you hanging out with the all, has you giving yourself the opportunity to mental manifest in space all of your infinite potential and possibilities, because you are the origin. It's very, very, that's where I get, that's where the most pain in me comes from. And it's very sad that the Christ conscious would say, wow, you have very little faith. I'm telling you, for who you are, it would take just faith of a mustard seed to move this mountain, and you don't even have that. That is so troubling to me, because I know that faith in myself, belief in myself, there is no actual mountain to move. It's mental manifestation that for me, I don't see a mountain. It's gone. If I saw a mountain, it's in my way. I believe in myself and my divine self. Oh, it's gone. There's no mountain because of mental manifestation. Yeah, that's to the height that people can take this. But it takes that belief in oneself. I'm going to read it again and end with it, because it's And going into the weekend, I guess maybe I'll just talk about it right now. Going into the weekend of the rebirth or the resurrection, it is, in my opinion, that personally, I'll just say it now so I don't say it Sunday. It is my humble opinion, and there's could be variations of it, but this is my delivery of it. People's biggest fear and what blocks them from actually believing in themselves and their greatness, and how the Corpus Hermetica just said, you have to acknowledge that you're divine and you're infinite, you're internal, you're a part of eternity. The one thing that blocks everybody from doing that is the fear of death. Hands down. That's it. That's because then that leaks into everything. The fear of death. So it is my humble opinion that I think Christ, the Christ consciousness, as we know of this weekend, and it is Good Friday. Wow, I can't believe I'm saying all this. He went, okay, the only thing I can do to make people understand they have to let go of this is to allow the most brutal death possible to happen to me, because I know I'm not really gonna die. I know that it means absolutely nothing. That he allowed the hours of torture, pain, what all proceeded, what all happened. And it does say he allowed it. He allowed it so the rest of us could see, let it go. Ain't none of you gonna experience it like this. Let it go. Let go of that fear so you can ascend. Let go of it, because it's the only thing holding you back. So he purposely allowed that demonstration to happen. And of course, then he came back and resurrected. Here's my take on that. From the onset, he knew there is no such thing as death. From the onset, he had to prove to people, let this concept go. Let this fear go. Because of all of his travels, all of his moving about, all saying, hey, do you have ears to hear? And that's why he moved about so much, because if he met with a bunch of people and they didn't have ears to hear, all he would do then is, hey, Mary, where are we going next? Because he didn't wait around trying to talk with people that didn't have ears to hear. That's where I'm at now, hence why I said what I said at the beginning. With all the moving around, he realized, man, the biggest thing that is holding everybody back from their mental manifestation of understanding that they are one with the Creator, one with the Father. They are the truth, the light, the way to greater living, the way to not being in the 3D, was to help them understand to not fear death. The fear of death is the sin. The fear of death is the other pole to choosing life. If we have the fear of death, we are not fully experiencing life and the grand powers that life can give us. It's the two opposite sides of the pole, life and death. And there's so much fear around death that no one's actually living life. That's what he was trying to accomplish there. Let it go. None of you are going to experience what I'm experiencing right now. I am letting the most horrific episode unfold. So you can go, wow, I'm never going to go through that. I should just let go of worrying about it. Right? And he knew from the onset. And so he hung back for a minute. Okay, so all these death, supposedly all these people need to understand that, death does happen. So I'm going to hang back. I'll give you a couple of days, which also goes into older ancient traditions. But also, it is my humble opinion that if he were to have died the way he did and then, 20 minutes later all of a sudden resurrected, that would have changed the course of all things. Then he would have been referenced as a demon and it would have been a whole different story, right? So he gave it some time. He gave it some time to everybody to mourn, to come to grips with this concept of death. And then he came back and said, hey, looky here. Looky here. You can conquer death. You can conquer the fear of it. Looky here. It means absolutely nothing. Look this way. And then he hung out with them for a little bit to give some very final, beautiful last announcements as to knock it off, humans. It's your disbelief in yourself that is keeping you in all these horrible 3D boxes. And then he's like, I'm going to show you what it really is. And he just ascended. He just said, bye. Peace, y'all. Peace. I'm going on up. I'm going on up. It is that easy. That is what he was really trying to emphasize, in my humble opinion, with all of what this weekend represents. So if we need to see it as the rebirth, as we do in more occult ways, oftentimes, the springtime rebirth, or resurrection from death, coming out of winter, however you need to see it. The biggest thing that spring would represent, and the resurrection of the Christ conscious, and him going, all right, I did the best I could. I haven't allowed some horrible stuff happen to me, so you humans would understand that you gotta let go of that concept because it's holding you back. Then he just flew away. He just said, bye, look at my light, look at my star being self. I'm gonna go walk on the sun, ladies and gentlemen. S-U-N-S-O-N. Hence a whole lot of what went on with all of our holidays. He said, I'm just going to shine, folks, which is what you can do. It is a belief in oneself and the capabilities through human free will and connecting your human free will with the divine within and the divine that you know. So, personally, that's my take, is that we got to let go of that stuff because we will not be able to get to the highest point of the opposite pole, which is definitely not hanging out in 3D, the death realm. 3D of the death realm. We cannot get to that unless we take him as an example and say, damn, yeah, it ain't never going to happen like that for me, so I might as well just be cool and move on and choose life and let go of that fear of death so I can have the ultimate life and keep ascending that way, experiencing life over and over again, experiencing the knowledge of choosing over and over again. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. He did a great service. Of course, everything's been manipulated and taken over, but he did a great service in that representation of let it go. And so if we want to see the resurrection that way, this weekend, try your damnedest to let it go. Because that is what he was ultimately trying to say. Let go of the fear of death so you can actually become the truth, the light, the way. Last line that we said again. The mind is seen in understanding, and God is seen in doing or making. Let it go. so you can gain more understanding and start doing and making as God always intended. So that's the message today, folks. That went all over the place. I'm not a fan of the polarity aspect in many of the teachings because they teach it in such black and white form. Such black and white. When I know, when you let go, it's still there, but you see it so vastly different. So vastly different. So, I love you all, you beautiful stars. You are stars. Please understand that. Please understand that you're the divine in you, that fire, that flame, that God spark, however you need to see it. Don't trap it in the body, as Hermes just said. Don't lock your soul up. Unchain it. And the biggest chain is the fear of death. Because it's the biggest of the opposites, of the polarities. Death, life. I'm telling you, let it go so you can really live this most awesome life as the beautiful star being that you are. Stars walk the planet, but they don't know it. And until they know it, God doing and making is very hard to see. So I love you all so very, very much. You guys are so special, so wonderful. If you made it this long and you're new here to Stars of Morning Light, we do come with it. Please hit the like button. Share this out to those that might resonate. Leave a comment below. I'm curious how this might have resonated with folks, because I'm just doing my thing, and like I said, I have to shine like a star and keep ascending, and hopefully more will join me. So please have a lovely weekend. I will be here again Sunday. As I've always said, this April, I might be a little late here and there, but I will show up. I'm just a busy girl. So I love you all. Enjoy yourselves and have a lovely Friday. Remember, Fridays, I use them for a day to have romance with all things, because romance just means a heightened sense of love. Heightened and deepened at the same time, right? So my Fridays are always, everywhere I go, what I see, what I do, what I make is in a grander sense of love. And I'm sending that out to you. I hope everyone stays well, beautiful, and keeps shining. Bye, you guys. Namaste.